paradigm of separation, the two-state solution, the failed Oslo Accords, basically did something good for us. It showed us how not to do and what not to do. I don't claim that I have the solution for what's going to be in this land between the river and the sea, but I do know that the path that we are going in, the path of joining forces from a grassroots level, from the bottom to the top, this is the path that also will design the solution. We need to think about how we, as a peace activist, I'm basically a waste manager, not a peace activist. We need to think how we are going to be unemployed. This should be our task. Thank you very much.
The Torah demands of us that it even says it in our halakha, that when we conquer land, the land to be conquered we have to enforce righteousness and justice throughout the land. And we failed in doing that. How can there be a refugee camp 50 years after Israeli rule in Judea and Samaria? Ladies and gentlemen, for me, I'm sorry? Because you haven't built an Arab city in Israel. Oh, okay, so Myron, I'm going to go there. And I appreciate you, all of you Palestinians, but I want you to know you're my enemy. Right now, you're my enemy. Because in my story, in my narrative, there's a way that you stop being my enemy. And I promise you, you'll have no greater lobby and no one who's going to be pushing for you to go into Jerusalem, and no one's going to be pushing for your rights than the people like me. If you accept these things that are already written in the Quran, I don't want to quote the Quran to the Sheikh, a declaration in the form of a court, that you are obliged to the universal humanist laws, what we call the 7 laws of Bnei Noach, and that we can work together, we will no longer be enemies.
The concept of democracy being 51% can control and negate the other needs to be fundamentally changed. So we must think outside the box. There is the huge imbalance of power between the two parties, which means that the Israelis can get what they want anytime they want anyway, so that anything that they give to us will be viewed as a free concession. So the power relation needs to change.
Because the power dynamics favor Israel, 2 things are a reality we can't deny. Number 1, it's our job to make the first move towards building trust. And number 2, at least in the beginning, we call the shots. Right? It's a trade-off. And I think right now, the greatest symbol of oppression to Palestinians, and any of the Palestinians who want to correct me should feel free to, is the wall. And I think if Israel wanted to build trust, the first thing we should do is say, tomorrow we plan to take down this wall, and then do it. And make it very clear that, we don't want to regret it. Like, we don't want security problems the next day. People are scared. And we'll be brutal if we have to be brutal. Like, we'll be violent if we have to be violent. But the wall is coming down, and we hope that within 3 years' time, every single Palestinian will have Israeli healthcare. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll talk about water the same way. We'll talk about sanitation, transportation.
I work with a partner from Jerusalem, Rabbi Eliyahu McLean. And it's take 30 days to arrange a permit for me. And it's a long time, 30 days to get a permission. And you don't know me, that I don't like too much dialogue and speak about peace. We can speak next 10 years. But without action, we can't do anything.
It has to provide immediate, tangible benefits to the Palestinians, both economic and political. We can't go for an intermediate solution which will say, well, they will get something 10 years down the road, because they know 10 years down the road will never come. We're creating a federal state of Israel, which would be binational. It would mean preparing and implementing a governance reform in Israel, which would include the establishment of regional administrations in 30 autonomous regions, 20 of them with Jewish majorities and 10 of them with Palestinian non-Jewish majorities.
والتمسك بالدين هو مدعاة لاحترام الآخر ولاحترام القيم الإنسانية والأخلاقية بين البشر.
And holding on to one's faith means respecting the other and holding on to the human values that we all share together. So the more religious you are, that means the more you are to be respecting of the diversity of faiths.
I'll be honest, if I'm forced to compromise on things that are important to me, like the Samaria and Judea, the West Bank, I'm not done fighting because I want it back. Just like I want Gaza back right now. So if you force me to compromise on things that are important to me, I'm not going to be finished fighting. And I believe there are Palestinians who feel the same way. That if they're forced to compromise on things that are important to them, they're not done fighting. So the only way we're going to have peace here is if we both get to experience ourselves as winners, complete winners in the movies we're living in.
I want to hear you say to me, if one guy in my village tries to hurt a Jew, I'll give you his head. I want to hear Middle East talk. Don't give me this bullshit about narratives and all that. I want to hear some Middle East stuff. I want to hear Sheikh Tamimi telling me with clarity. He's my friend and I respect him tremendously. I want to hear clarity. We will fight, we'll make a jihad on the jihad. I want to hear that. I want to hear those words. And then we'll have the ability to coexist.
I have no problem with it whatsoever. In fact, for a whole number of reasons, the Israelis are utterly obsessed with defense. Because of years of anti-Semitism, because of the Holocaust, because of whatever.
Because we don't like death.
I said in this new state, I think the defense minister should be and should always be Jewish. But by the same token, you must create full equality for everybody to enter the army on the basis of merit, and you must allow those who in good conscience don't want to fight from either side to be able not to do it.
Today, there was a stabbing in Jerusalem. An Israeli was stabbed, and this is unacceptable. And yesterday morning, IDF soldiers had attacked my camp, which caused around 7 persons. All of them are youth, all of them are less than 20 years, and all of them are at the risk of losing their legs. So my question, what is the degree of influence that you have on the IDF policy? Simply, we didn't hear in news about these attacks toward the refugee camps and toward West Banks. And this, by the way, will incite the violence from the Palestinian side, because it's a formula. Violence means more violence.
The event you described, I wasn't aware of it till now. Okay, the Israeli media are completely blocking out events on the Palestinian side, and have done so for a long time, because the Israeli public is not interested. It doesn't sell well.
I will never believe that IDF soldiers shoot people just because they're bloodthirsty.
It's called occupation. It's called occupation.
No, it's a response for terrorism. It's a response.
The Haitian is not inhabited by Jews.
What are the real alternatives for a generation that I will tell you their reality is looking for a good life, a good job opportunity, good education, good living, freedom of access, freedom of movement, freedom of access to the resources like water, which we are struggling with now in the West Bank. It actually has gone down to the basic of what the Palestinians are looking for. So no matter what the slogans you hear, no matter what the media says, if you talk to the average Palestinian, this is exactly what they are seeking.
The energy you make here, all of you, is unique and it's very, very, very essential for what we need to do. So on that note, I will say thank you very much, shukran, and toda rabba to you all, laila tov, and hope to see you in the next conferences. Yalla.